For recording the school committee meetings, you will need the following equipment: 3 Robocam tripods, a mic stand, 3 Robocams, each that comes with its own power cord, and one 5-port fast Ethernet switch, which also comes with its own power cord. All of these items should be located in the tree bag. You will also need 2 power strips, a total of 8 XLR cables, 1 6-foot, 2 10-foot, 2 15-foot, 1 28-foot, 1 29-foot, 1 50-foot, a total of 4 SDI cables, 1 13.5-foot, 3 50-foot, 4 Ethernet cables, 1 10-foot, 1 12-foot, 1 25-foot, and 1 50-foot, 1 male XLR to male 1/4-inch cable, 7 gooseneck mic stands along with 7 corresponding gooseneck mics, 4 gooseneck microphones with built-in XLRs, and 1 shotgun microphone with AA batteries, an Anycast Touch with its own power cord, and finally, there should be a mixer on top of the cart, and attached to the mixer should be its own power cord and a snake. You will also need some gaff tape. Roll the cart over next door and place it in its appropriate spot. Plug in the power strip. Then plug in both the Anycast and the mixer. Do not turn on the Anycast yet. Next, you're going to want to set up both the Robocams and the tripods. You want to put 1 camera in the front of the U of the desks and 1 camera on either side along the walls. Now it's time to set up the microphones. 3 gooseneck microphones go to the middle of the table and 1 on the far right of the U next to where we set up our cart. Then the remaining microphones go in clockwise order. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have 5, 6, and 7. Then 8, 9, 10, 11. Attach the appropriate XLR cables with a set length to each of the microphones. Lay down the snake and plug in the microphones in order according to their number. The snake is already plugged into the mixer. Now it's time to plug in the cameras. There's power cables, BNCs, and Ethernet cables. First, you want to plug in the power cable, which goes from the camera to the wall. Then the Ethernet cable goes from the camera's Ethernet jack to a 5-port Ethernet adapter. And finally, you plug in the SDI cable, which goes from the camera to the Anycast. Whatever camera you want to be camera 1 in the Anycast will be plugged into Ethernet port 2. Whatever camera you want to be camera 2 will be plugged into Ethernet port 3. And then whatever camera you want to be camera 3 will be plugged into Ethernet port 4. And a shorter Ethernet cable will run from Ethernet port 1 on the adapter to an Ethernet port on the right side of the Anycast labeled Cam Control, also labeled LAN2. Make sure the multi-port Ethernet adapter is also plugged in. Now you want to set up the crowd mic. It's a shotgun mic and it gets its own stand. You want to place this microphone on its stand behind camera 2, which is the camera in the middle, and have it face the crowd. Also make sure that its batteries are good. Plug an XLR into the back of the shotgun microphone and plug the other end into the snake into the channel 12 port. Plug in the yellow SDI cable into the PGM SDI port on the back of the Anycast. The left one of the two is fine. Run that cable over to where camera 3 is set up and connect it into the wall. This is the cable that sends the meeting live. Take an XLR to 1/4-inch cable, which is a male to male, and plug in the XLR end into audio input on the Anycast and the 1/4-inch and into main out L on the mixer. You can now turn on the mixer by pressing the switch on the back. Make sure the mixer is set to bypass under Effects. There is a little gray rectangular button that is located underneath a large gray knob on the right side of the board that says Bypass. Make sure the small gray button is pressed down so the red light above it is lit. Otherwise, the audio will have effects such as reverb or delay added and it will sound terrible. Also make sure that the button labeled Phantom Power is also turned on. It should glow yellow when it is on. Now plug in the headphones into the Anycast. The port is on the left side of the Anycast. Make sure you have an adapter for it as well. On the mixer, make sure no channels are muted. The gray square button above each channel's fader is the mute button. If you can see the white underlayer of the button, then the channel is not muted. If there's no white showing, it's muted. Finally, turn on the Anycast with the power button on the left side. Make sure the audio is up on the Anycast. To do so, press the Audio Mixer tab on the lower screen and bring Mic 1, Mix, and PGM all up to 0. This is Unity and can be adjusted later as needed. Now, make sure all wires are taped to the floor so that nobody trips. This is a very important step. Now on the Anycast, make sure you make a slide for the meeting and properly title the file. You can also edit an older slide to simply change the date. Next, you want to check the microphones to see if they're working. Go around the room and have one person sit down at each microphone and speak clearly into each of them. Adjust the levels as needed on the mixer. You should only adjust the volume on the Anycast if you want to bring up all the mics, not a particular mic. Hit record under the recording tab right before the meeting starts. For example, if the meeting is set to start at 6:30, start recording at 6:25. The Robocams are adjusted using the camera tab on the AnyMixer. First, select a camera on the left of the top screen. They will be labeled IN3, IN1, or IN6, and there will be an image of what each camera sees. Press the desired camera shot with your finger. Next, use your finger on the lower display to press the camera tab, and use your finger to move the gray dot inside of a box to move the selected camera around. There is also a slider on the right that allows you to zoom in and out. Stop the recording once the meeting has concluded and go back to the recording tab and then press the stop button.